All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. I am so glad to be back in the studio with each and every one of you. And I'm also glad to say I'm not alone. I have the lovely Masha Makarian here with me. I think I got that right. Didn't I, Masha?
Yep. Yes, you
Yes,
did.
I did it. Okay, I didn't butcher your last name. So, as you guys know, I put out uh, on the last few episodes, how much I get out of being able to drop in one on one with you, the listeners. I mean, I've done 1,500 plus solo episodes, hundreds and hundreds of incredible authors, luminaries, change makers. And, we're all change makers. We all carry the spark. We all are magic. And the thing that I get the most out of all of this sort of work has been this labor of love, if you will, has been when I get the opportunity to drop in one on one with people and connect with them one on one and hear about what your challenges have been and to reflect what comes up for me when I hear about those challenges. And oftentimes they're things I've dealt with or am dealing with, or or the listeners are. So it's always synchronistic and magical and perfectly timed, divinely timed, as we know. So yeah, Masha was willing to volunteer as a guinea pig on. We've done a few of these lately, and we'll be doing more. So if you are interested in being on one of these episodes and you have a challenge that you think you would really benefit from dropping in with me about, yeah, there will be a link where you can fill out a form in the show notes. And yeah, please do that. And if it seems like a fit, we'll invite you on. And also, the other thing I'll just add is if I really love talking to people who are really newly, maybe being raised conservative Christian myself, and coming across those people who are just kind of breaking out of maybe religious dogma and are starting to, explore spiritual concepts. That's super fun for me too. That's a little different. I mean, I guess it could be viewed as a challenge, right? Because, a lot of times for people, it's like the
Mm-hmm.
crumbling of their old worldview. And so if you know someone who's going through that sort of experience as well. But yeah, this year I'm kind of just holding the vision of getting more personal with listeners and connecting more with each and every one of you. So Masha, thank you so much for being here. And
Yeah.
if you would take a moment and just maybe share for a quick, whatever feels relevant to share about who you are, where you're at, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
get into where your challenges have been lately.
Okay. So I'm Masha, magical Masha.
Magical Masha in the
um,
house.
so a little bit about me. I live in Northern California. I was born in the year of the snake, which is
Mm,
why I'm feeling like this year is a really big transformational year for me.
mm,
I used to be a therapist. That's what
mm,
I went to school for, and got really burned out and realized that the mental health system isn't really all that it's cracked up to be. I didn't really resonate with the way that mental health therapy is really important, but I just found myself to be on a search for something different.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I went through, you can call it a spiritual awakening. I'm also a
When
mother
was that,
now.
if
Yeah,
I may?
about 2016, actually, when I started listening to your podcast. That
Oh,
was a
cool.
big, yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Newish mother. I have a almost 1.5 year old,
Wow.
and he is my greatest love and joy. He lights me up. Yeah,
Wow.
makes my
And
heart
getting to the
warm.
age, he's probably starting to like have a lot to say, huh?
Yeah, he babbles so much.
Hmm.
He's a
Yeah.
talker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give it
So it's
another
so
six
fun.
months and he'll be telling you off.
Oh my gosh.
Here's how the world works, Mom.
I don't want that.
Maybe that's a few years out, actually.
No, no. But the other important aspect to that is I'm a single mama. So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
been transformational in its own right. Just learning how to be on my own, but also ask for help. And that's been a huge lesson for me is leaning on community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, so you wrote in and
Mm-hmm.
really everything's fair game here. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't really know where this will go. This is very experimental. Let's just see what comes up. But I think what caught my eye with your submission, saying you'd like to come on and vulnerably share. I think what you talked about is something that um, all of us can really, really relate to, and I know myself included, dealing with a lot of disappointment. And you
Mhm.
wrote, and I'll just kind of read here. Well, it's pretty short, so I feel like I'm finally on pretty solid footing. But where I could use a breakthrough is that I try to control reality sometimes instead of fully trusting God, the universe slash the universe. I think too that it's because I've dealt with a lot of disappointment from others in my life. So what comes up for me is, can I fully trust the universe to support me when I've been let down so much? Um, and
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know if there's anything that you want to add to that, or maybe expound on, you
Mhm.
know, the disappointments, or anything like that.
Mm, yeah. I I guess it's that I've felt a little bit like a lone wolf, especially on a spiritual path. And
Mm-hmm.
my reality hasn't really reflected a lot of validation or like
Mm-hmm.
yes, you're doing great, keep going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of the opposite, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm currently living with my mom, and that's been a huge challenge, a
Mm-hmm.
big kind of a lot of inner child healing that I've been working through of just the reflection of her and the level of consciousness she's at. And her being confused by this path that I'm on that looks different than her expectations of a daughter,
Mm-hmm.
especially culturally,
Mm-hmm.
because my background is Russian and Armenian.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually born in St. Petersburg, so
Oh wow.
we came here when I was 3 years old, and so there's just a lot of cultural expectation, and yeah, I think dealing with that, and then also a lot of disappointment in friendships, and a lot of like just heartbreak because I'm a very sensitive person that feels really deeply and loves really hard and
Mm-hmm.
cares a lot about people. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I have a connection with someone, and I'm not talking about romantic, I'm talking about like
In general.
all
Mm-hmm.
connections, like
Yep.
friendships and everything. I pour into that person because I want so much to feel for them to feel what I see in them and like the
Mm-hmm.
light that I see in them. And so that's been, I would say, one of my biggest Achilles heel
Mm-hmm.
is I see the good in everybody. And that's also burned me so much because I guess that's where I could use a breakthrough is where and why is that light not always being reflected back to me?
Mm-hmm.
And why am I alone on this path?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm a single mom, so that makes me even more alone with a child that I'm having
Mm-hmm.
to protect and provide for and find my grounding while I'm still living in this unknown. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
some of it.
Yeah, I can relate to this one a lot personally,
Mm,
as someone who's extremely sensitive and loves deeply, and then feeling like, you know, you're not getting it back. You feel like you're alone. You mentioned, um, the validation, not getting like the validation that you want, and you know once again, I love doing this because it's like it's so easy to talk to someone else when I can see it's my own. I mean, today I released episodes of the late night style show Optimistic that I filmed years ago, and then COVID hit, and you probably heard about it over the years on the
I
on
was
the
on the
podcast.
show, by the way.
Oh yeah, you were. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I knew you looked familiar. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What episode were you on?
um, was it 5? It was back
Mm.
in August.
Do you remember who the
Your friend.
so you're here. Which one though? A lot of them are my friends. I knew you looked familiar. That's been so many years ago. I'm like, maybe I don't know. Maybe I've just seen you on social media. I didn't. Yes. Oh, apologies. I didn't like instantly pick up on that.
That's okay. That's okay.
Um, you don't remember who it was. It's fine. It's not important. But
Yeah.
is the episode
Yeah.
already out?
No. I
Yeah.
mean, it hasn't been out
Okay.
up
Well,
to this point.
it will be probably soon then, because I just started releasing them. You'll be got so that's a cool little synchronicity
Yay!
that
So
you
I've
are
already
actually
been on
on.
your
And
podcast.
what's
Yeah.
that?
I've already been on your podcast. It's my
Yeah,
second
yeah.
time.
So, so hold on. You're talking about optimistic though, not positive head.
Optimistic, and then the
Oh, right. When
podcast
we
where you
did with
interview
everyone
with the
who was
group.
here. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, yes,
Those
yes,
are really
yes.
fun. We would
Yeah.
sit in yeah. I'm sitting in the same room we filmed, except for it's very transformed now. It's actually much. Yeah, the space is much improved from that. Was like, I mean, if you were here in August, you were here like I was in the Mystic Manor for like a month. Now I'm at 5.5
Wow.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, it was a beautiful experience.
yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to go after this and look up which episode is, and I'll let you know when it's gonna come. But that's a great example for me of validation of like, oh, at that time this podcast was top three in spirituality and Apple, and so much. I was getting so much validation then, and then I just kind of like, oh, didn't really kind of, I don't know if flippant about it, but just not, didn't do a lot of the things that people did to like really focus on social media and all the things. And now I feel like that,
Mm.
the world changes so quickly. It's like I don't get the same level of validation I once did, not even close. So I can look at it for myself and be like, oh, do I need that? Like, what you're going to get always is what you need. I heard someone saying something, because a lot of people struggle around money. Like and I heard someone say something that really struck a chord. Like if someone needs money in order for their spiritual evolution, they're not going to be able to avoid to help optimize their spiritual evolution. They won't be able to
Mm.
avoid having it. And if someone it's going to
Mm.
hinder, they won't be able to get it. And so when you use that word validation, it's one that I can relate to so much and
Mm.
resonate because it's a part of my own journey. It's like, and really even today with releasing the episode, like I could care less if I get one view of thousands of views. I get positive feedback. The person who recorded shares it, doesn't share it. Like I'm really trying to get to that point, and I can't say I'm 100% there. I care. So that's the thing is we're sensitive and we care. But at the end of the day, I think our if we want to really be powerful, and you do, you've got to self source your validation.
Yep.
It's got to
Yeah.
be. It's got to be. It's never, ever, ever going to
No.
come from out there and be fulfilled. And even when and I've had these moments of having,
Yeah.
I guess, more than the average person, and I didn't really like. It didn't necessarily do it for me more. I mean, some of the people that are the most famous and successful are the most insecure and the most,
Exactly.
you know, and so I think it's really really important to get to just continue to understand, and it's one of the things that I would have said to you then, and I'll say it now, and I'll say it in 10 years if we talk again. Is like no one has ever been more worthy in all of eternity than you, right?
Mm.
Because you are it, right? You are as worthy as anyone ever has been, could be, or will be. I guarantee you, I said that at some point.
Yeah, I'm
And
pretty sure you did.
and so here we are, and learning that lesson and continuing to ground that in. I feel like through the lack of validation, or apparent lack of validation compared to what maybe I could think I should have or whatever, it's helped to make me stronger. Like over time,
Yeah,
of like
me
I don't,
too.
right. So
Yeah,
so you don't. That's just working out the muscle for you. I mean, it's what
right.
you need in order for you to become who you're going. And then, the irony is we can have it when we don't need it, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so if you're not having it, you must still feel like you need it in some way. And so that's where the work lies. And
Mhm.
and this, of course, fully trusting and thing that you talked about. I mean, that's trusting the mystery is like I think, I mean, that's one of the keys in my book, Golden Key, that I wrote a year or so after
Mhm.
you were here. And it's like, or I think of the Chogyam Trungpa quote in it, like, the bad news, you're falling through air, nothing to hold on to, no parachute. The good news, there's no ground. And that's,
Mhm.
you know,
It
that's,
can be exciting.
It can be exciting, and you're gonna always have what you need. And if you know, when you say you don't trust, you're struggling with trusting. Um, I would ask you, have you ever had a time in your journey where you didn't get through? You had at least enough of what you need in order to get through and make it to the next moment. Has that ever happened? Where, oh, it wasn't
Well, I'm
enough.
here now,
You're here now,
so
right?
that's proof.
That's proof.
Even
It's
though
kind of
I'm
a
sure
loaded
there
question, right?
yeah, yeah. There have been times where I've been in pure distrust or fear or just like, no, this I'm not just like stuck,
Yep.
stuck in pain and suffering
Yep.
and yeah, a lot of that. But I'm here now, so it proves that even through those moments of, you can call it darkness or um dark night of the soul, the light of the day came the next day.
Yep.
So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I mean, and I've had my own. The last 6 months have been going through a big breakup, and um, just a lot of challenges in the last, year, 6 months, especially, that have brought up a lot for me. And what I continue to go back to during that, let's say, dark night of the soul is, oh wow, I am on the verge of a big breakthrough. Like the breakdown is before the breakthrough. So if I can shift it to like, oh, cool, I'm becoming a butterfly. So, the caterpillar is
yeah.
melting into a goo before it becomes a butterfly. It literally completely breaks apart and, disintegrates into this, when the caterpillar thinks its life is over, it becomes a butterfly. And,
Mhm.
and so, just telling that story to me every time, I find myself getting caught on these loops of like what's went wrong, and it's like, oh, hold on, like how can I reframe this
Yeah.
story?
Yeah.
It's so such paramount importance, because doing that determines what's going to come of it.
Mhm.
I think it's
Yeah.
all like neutral by design, and what we do with
Yeah.
it is going to determine how the story goes. And so
Yeah.
you have to get back to finding what is the silver lining story you can tell. Are you alone? Or are you with the person that lights you up like no other human ever has? I
Totally.
mean, my son, who you probably
Absolutely.
met, is grown now.
Mhm.
And I literally think about like him at 1.5, and it's like, or 5, or whatever, 3, that little kid who would climb on me and fall asleep in my arms and say these like incredibly sweet things, you know, like that being is gone. It doesn't exist
Yeah.
anymore. It's been replaced by a beautiful grown kid, who's amazing, and yet it's not that 1.5-year-old or 3-year-old or 5-year-old or your mother. It's like, I'm
Yeah.
sure your mother does what all family does, like Ram Dass says: if you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family. In your case, you've gone on the pro level,
Yep.
trajectory,
Master's degree.
master's degree. And so what is she doing? She's challenging you, and it's like, oh, do I trust this? Will I miss her? Would you miss her one day when she's gone? I'm going to go ahead and guess that they're, assuming things happen in a natural way, she would, pass before you do. And you look back and think, oh my gosh, what I wouldn't do for another day in the house when she's being annoying, whatever.
Right.
And I think when we can bring that to the you know to the present, that awareness, um it's something that is really, as someone who's been really good at not appreciating things as much when I have them, and then being really nostalgic for them later. Like, we got to get good at seeing, like, this too
Yeah.
shall pass, this is
Yeah.
temporary. We better
Yeah.
stop and smell the roses and appreciate what
Yeah.
we have. And that is the path to more as well. Gratitude is the doorway for
Mhm.
what you have. Is that's true abundance, appreciating what you have,
Mhm.
and it leads to more things to appreciate. And you also wrote in your thing, you've been let down so much by others. And I wonder if there's one person who listens to this who wouldn't say, "Yeah, I've been let down a lot by others too." You know, it's a big part of our journey, and it's once again back to that we get what we need, and they're showing us where our, you know, like when I had, this, probably when you were here, I was just starting to date my last partner, literally like that month. We'd probably been dating a month, and we were together 5 years. Um, and I was talking to one of my close friends about it, and he's like, "Well, Brandon, it seems like the universe is showing you, I was really going through it with the breakup. He's like, I can see, it seems like the universe is showing you where your attachments are, you know, and it's
Mm.
like, yeah, I mean, it's like understanding that." That disappointments are tied to our idea of what is best for us, right? We have an
Hmm.
idea that this is going to get us let's say the end goal is for you to become the most successful, fully realized being possible. There's all
Mm.
kinds of ways that could look with different careers and different things, but let's say that's the goal. We
Mhm.
can probably agree that that is, at your soul's level, the aim, right? Now you
Mm.
are differing in opinions of how to get there.
Uh-huh.
If you're
Yeah.
disappointed, right?
Right. Because it's probably your ego that thinks that that way is it's supposed to be look a certain way to get
Yep,
to that
right,
place
right,
of
right.
success.
And it's just like it's like it's all such a it helps me to remember, even, I mean, I'll use my most recent example. Very disappointed with how my partner navigated after our split, and hurtful, yeah, just hurtful. And I'm so sensitive and cared so much, and it's like, and then I can take those moments and say, oh, okay, you know it's supposed to hurt me, it's supposed to push that button, it's supposed to
Mhm.
disappoint that version of myself who's got an idea of what, well, here's how you should do it, here's what's supposed to happen, this is why you're wrong. And this is, it's like, if we can take it, you know make it like, the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz talks about, take nothing personal. Like, it's, I think there's a time when we're feeling really, you know reactive. I think that's a great time to say, oh, let me look at, how could I not take this so personal, and instead of
Mm.
looking at it like,
Mm.
actually, I think it may be the friend you're referring to. Is it Chris? Chris.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
funny. It's funny because now I think of something he used to always say. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Interesting.
But he would talk about, um, how to depersonalize something. How, like,
Mm.
um, let's say, for example, I punched you in the face, and you then tell the story like, oh my gosh, Brandon abused me. I've been traumatized. It was abuse. It was physical attack. It was violence. It was trauma. All these words that
Yeah.
carry all this
And have
charge,
a lot of
right?
energy.
A lot of
Mhm.
energy. Or
Mhm.
let's take the other extreme of it. The universe exploded in a big bang 12 billion years ago. Atoms continued to move around this whole time. At some point, the planet Earth was formed. I then came up out of the Earth in this, avatar form, and on this day, a atoms that come together looking like knuckles struck my chin, and it had a stinging sensation. Like, we're talking about the same
Wow.
thing, right? And
Yeah.
they're very different in the charge around the thing.
Mm. Mm.
So, what I find that has served me during these moments of disappointment and hurt for how others have navigated is, they're they're atoms moving around, behaving in a certain way, trying to make themselves feel safe, is typically what it comes down to. This is how they saw
Mhm.
they could be the safest, you know, and
Mhm.
oftentimes that can mean you're on the receiving end of something that then is received as hurtful. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's an act that is happening, and
Mhm.
it's happening for, this is where that trust is so huge. It's just knowing that it's happening for your good and growth, for that end aim we talked about, which is for you to become the most fully realized
Mhm.
being that you can. And you can't become that without these, you know, these challenges without,
Mm.
you know, like I always say, smooth seas never made for a skilled sailor, and you came to be a skilled sailor. You needed that hurt.
Mm.
You need it, and it's why I love the book The Little Soul in the Sun so much, which I know you probably heard me talk about.
Mhm.
Basically, Neil Donald Walsh's children's book, where it's like, basically every soul doing something to hurt you, they actually lost themselves and disconnected from their light enough in order to do the awful thing, so that you can have the experience of forgiveness, like the soul and the little soul in the sun wanted to experience this unknown concept that did not exist in
Right.
heaven. And so when you think of it in those terms, it's really powerful. Like, oh my gosh, this person
Yeah.
lost themselves so that my soul could have the experience of overcoming and forgiving. And that really reframes it in a way that is
That's a
very
beautiful
empowering,
reframe. Yeah.
really beautiful. Yeah.
But then there's also the emotions, and as humans,
Mm-hmm.
we also have to feel it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you said that, because this doesn't mean avoiding and, gaslighting it, pushing it aside. You know, um, just putting a bow of love and light on it, and it's like,
Right.
no, you're going to feel,
Yeah.
it's just like, and the thing is like, allow it to move, allow it to feel, and where you can gently offer, here's the emotions are coming, a lot of strong feelings. um I had this happen. Yeah, I mean, I had this happen recently in the middle of the night, and it's like, oh, I'm feeling all these like kind of heavy emotions. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
not going to run from it. Instead, I got up, I sat with it, I meditated, I allowed them to be, and then offered. And knowing what brings me comfort too now is I've seen it enough to be like, oh, this is a cloud. This is a cloud of emotion that is passing. It's passing through my awareness. It's not me, and
Mhm.
I can experience it and offer um, reframes of whatever, especially if you're hearing the voice who's telling you the bad thing, like, oh no, I'm not going to take that on as mine. I can observe it. But at the end of the day, thoughts, these things compound and build. So one little thought turns into a bigger thought, turns into a bigger thought, next thing you know, you're in the depths of depression, right? Over whatever. And it started with a little thought and grew. So if you can catch it
Mhm.
and you know reframe it as soon as you can do that, great. And guess what, you're not going to always be successful doing that, and it
Mhm.
doesn't mean avoidance. If you lose, oh my, I lost a parent, or a friend died, or using an extreme example, you're not meant to
Mhm.
just like sugarcoat it instantly and not feel the grief. Like,
Exactly.
allow that emotion, energy in motion, to pass through you.
Yeah.
And being able to create some level of like stepping away from it as
Mhm.
well at times. It's just really helpful, to see it like, okay, this is moving through me. I'm not going to label it as, it's even with the disappointment thing, right? It's the same kind of thing. You're labeling
Mm.
it as if it should be different, right? It's like, I'm not going to make anything bad. I'm just going to do my best.
Mm.
I'm going to do my best not to. And if I get it wrong, I'm not going to make that
Yeah.
bad. If I fall into a spiral of, you know, resentment for an hour or a day, okay, I'm not going to beat myself up for doing that. I'm going to, every chance I get to gently steer back on to the path, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to let the emotions have their moment and give them their due. And I think this is a nuanced dance, and we're just, all we can do is get, the reality is, it's never this glamorous overnight, we, rocket to success with this. It's literally like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And we're all
Yeah.
just doing this dance. And
Mm.
I guarantee you're a little better now than you were probably last time I saw you. Right. And me
Mhm.
too. I mean, I've,
S-
I've been definitely forced to continue to grow and grow, and shown, I'm just
Mhm.
shown where my weaknesses are, where the pain points are. This is where you still need to work. This is where you're falling short. This is, I mean, so much of that. I mean, I probably had more of that come up in the last year than the rest of my life combined. and it's
Yeah.
just, it's refining you for what you're meant to
Mm.
become next.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me, yeah, again, the butterfly. It's such a helpful metaphor.
Yeah, it really is. It really
Yeah.
is.
I
It's
mean, I'm thinking of myself even as I had a newborn in my arms up at night, every night by myself,
mm,
and how much inner strength I realized I had in those
yeah,
moments.
yeah,
And also how much I've grown just from that experience and just from that time, because
yeah,
now I no longer have a newborn.
yeah. Right, right. Wow. Well, I can't believe we're already at 30 minutes. That was really fast. Is there any other thoughts, shares? Is any of that helpful? And I know you probably heard all of it in one way, shape, or form before. And that's the thing about this, is like literally, how do we continue to rewire and remind ourselves,
Hmm.
of this stuff? Is there anything that you want to bring up as we wind down?
Yeah, well, I think that what's helpful for me to remind myself is that even though I have the difficult moments and I'm still, I still have unhealed parts of myself, I can still be a beacon of light for others, even though I'm not fully healed. And that's
Yeah.
just something I want to share. And that's where I am going in my life, is to be of service and to share my gifts of healing with others.
Mm.
So that feels really good to me. That's the path that feels right and
Mhm.
finally feels on time, because
Yeah.
I've been wanting that to be my path in the past, and I feel ready for that.
Mm.
So just want to share
And
that.
you're not, going there and going to arrive one day. You're doing it right now. Right now,
Yeah.
being brave enough to come on and talk vulnerably and share your own challenges. And there's someone out there who's hearing, and it's exactly their challenge. And because you were bold enough to come on, and there's a single mother who's going through it right now, and so yeah, you
Mhm.
should be really, really proud of yourself for doing that. And it's not easy. It's not easy to get up and vulnerably share like that. So, and like Matt Kahn said, who was also a guest on Optimistic,
Mhm.
bleed on stage. Be willing to
Mhm.
bleed on stage, and yeah, because you don't know who you're reaching, who you're helping, and that's the thing that I
Mhm.
tell myself all the time, Brandon. It doesn't matter any of the follows, listens, likes, all that stuff. Forget about it. If I help one person, I'm
Yeah.
a success. And that's how, if you
Yeah.
listen to episode 1 of this podcast, if I help one person, it's a success, and it'll help me. So there,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think,
Yeah.
and it is a journey getting there and not needing the validation and all the things. And it's not
Yeah.
going to just happen overnight, but we can continue to have these conversations and remind each other and walk each other home. And I feel it clicked in more than ever than I ever have in the past, where I,
Mm.
my
Yeah.
not caring in a good way. And
Yeah.
that feels, it feels very empowering. It's like
Yeah.
I can provide that.
Right. And I'm out of the way because it's not about what I've been through or what that person is telling me. That I mean, it's basically like I feel clear enough to want to be of service, and I
Yeah.
don't, and I've cleared enough of my stuff
Yeah.
to feel ready for that. So I also want to say that if anyone listening wants a free coaching session, 45-minute session with me, then feel
Oh,
free to reach out to me.
that's really, really thoughtful. See, we're just like, it's continuing on. So,
Yes.
very cool. Well, this has been awesome to reconnect with you again, and I'm so glad. Thank you for pointing it out, because I just sat here. I'm like, I know I've seen you before. I know you recognize you, and
Mhm.
that's been over 5 years ago. You know.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw you at a music festival a couple years,
oh,
like High Vibes, was it?
oh, yeah, 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 yeah. High Vibe Fest.
High Vibe
Yeah, yeah,
Fest.
yeah. Are you going to go to it this year?
No,
No.
now that I have my little one,
Yeah, it's a little
all
harder.
my energy, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Fair,
is with him.
fair, fair. Well, Masha, this has been awesome to see you and connect with you again. And
Thank you.
I am proud of you and the work that you're doing. And congratulations on the little one. And yeah, I'll put a link for people to find you. Just like send me whatever
Sure.
you would like me to share, Instagram or wherever. And yeah, anything else that you want to add before we sign off here?
Just what you always say, here we grow again.
Yeah,
Just continue to grow and be on the journey.
We're doing it. Well, thank you for growing alongside me and everyone else listening. And yeah, thank all of you guys out there for tuning in your beautiful brainwaves and incredible hearts. Until next time, journey well. I love you so, 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 so